Adapting at speed is crucial, but when you're stuck with development bottlenecks, cloud service admin, or too many systems that just don't sync up, change can feel impossible. Enter Adaptivist, a platinum partner to Atlassian. With Adaptivist, you'll be able to get more out of your existing Atlassian systems, embrace agile ways of working, and blend SaaS with hosting your own technology to really power your business forward. Adaptivist. Change, grow, thrive.
Before we get started, we got a couple of questions for you to get you into the groove and also make sure you're getting the best out of this talk. First and foremost, how big is your org? Is it just a handful of people, a couple of hundred, a couple of thousands? Now, what size of org do you think moves the fastest? The small startup with a lot of nimbleness, or the large enterprise organization with mature processes and rigid org structures? Oftentimes, you think of small startups as the one who can move fastest. But it doesn't have to be that way. Big opportunities are a lot, but they're usually also time-bound and resource-bound. The nice thing about a larger organization is that they have the resources. If you couple that with the mindset of a startup speed and willing to move with urgency, there's a really big opportunity there. So today we're going to talk to you about one of the tools in our pockets for moving fast in a large organization called virtual squads. Virtual squad does not mean remote. It works really well in co-located teams as well. We are three of the cross-functional partners who are part of a virtual squad, along with many others.
Hey everybody, I'm Lizzie. I am a director of product marketing here at InVision, and as Johnny mentioned, part of this cross-functional working group that we will be talking about in just a few minutes.
Hello everyone, I'm Jake and I'm a group product manager of InVision's collaboration products. So I'm very passionate about this topic and excited to share how this type of agile collaboration can get even the largest organizations moving a little faster.
And we are with InVision. InVision is about 600 people strong, and we serve enterprise organizations. We're on a mission to inspire and enable others to build the world's most innovative customer experiences through design-led collaboration. As such, you can imagine all the great opportunities that we have in front of us and the need to move fast and innovate around it. So within InVision, we have multiple mechanisms in place to enable cross-team collaboration. For small changes, we promote internal open source model. So other teams could go into others' repos, submit pull requests, and collaborate quickly over Slack channels, GitHub to get those changes out. And then for more complex projects that requires more coordination, more resources, we follow a shared OKR process. We do our OKR planning on a quarterly basis and ensure that all teams that need to do work are aligned. And then for the biggest opportunities, the ones where speed and time matters, that's where we apply the virtual squad methods. So what is a virtual squad? It is when a group of individuals from different squads and different functions coming together to build something awesome that requires cutting across the stack of the organizations. One of the important things of virtual squad is also ensuring that as the squad finishes the work, there is continuity plan, and we'll talk more about that later on. So what are some good examples where you could apply this method? It could be for time critical and important initiatives. It could be build out shared infrastructures. It could be quickly prototyping proof of concept to validate an idea. Where we used it is to actually bring a new idea to life, like what we call 0 to 1 projects.
So I want to move us sort of out of the hypothetical, understanding high level what some of our processes look like at InVision. And we're going to spend the remainder of our presentation walking you through an actual case study of how the three of us here and a ton of other team members were able to apply our virtual squads model for our own 0 to 1 product build, which is a product we call Specs. So in this time, we'll cover first how to discover and align as a business around a big opportunity when it arises. Next, we'll get a little more tactical about how to go about searching for and assembling your virtual squad. And last, but certainly not least, some of those practices and ways that we run the squad in an efficient manner so we can actually achieve the goal and seize that opportunity that we found in the first place. So let's start off with talking about how you even find this opportunity, or how we were able to find this opportunity to begin with. So before we even chartered down the territory of a net new product build, so before we got to that final state of specs, we began to notice something coming up frequently from our customers. And what that was that design to developer handoff was the least favorite part of the process for anyone that we talked to. We knew with certainty from talking to customers that handoff just blows. It's not fun for anyone. And we knew this a little bit, but what really made it real for us and crystallized it for us is that we heard from over 2/3 of our customers through a survey format that they were looking for a solution to better this design to developer transition within the next calendar year. So we heard the need from our customers, and we had a time box for when they were looking to achieve this. That wasn't the only thing. We also have several outlets like our support team and different modals and product where we collect feedback, where we were hearing certain questions come up that were really themed around this challenge teams were having. There was a problem with handoff in their workflow, in their process. So at this point, we'd noticed that there was an opportunity emerging. We certainly were taking note of it, but we really weren't ready to move against it just yet. And this was because there was actually already a lot of work that had been done in the industry around automating the process of redlining for developers. And by proxy, sort of the assumption in the market was that we had improved handoff, that we had solved this challenge for teams. And hopefully for those of us in the crowd who are either within a product or engineering team, I'm not inciting PTSD for you guys, but I'm hopeful that you can remember what handoffs felt like and what building requirement stacks felt like before there were software and tools in place. When you were sending flat and marked up PDFs over and throwing it over the fence, hoping a developer could understand and actually build, and then probably spending a ton of time in QA. And so, as mentioned, we had moved away from this. So the industry had brought forward tools that allowed a designer to share their physical screens from the design file with developers and pass it along with all the data and assets that a developer needs to physically build from within that design file. InVision had built a solution. It is a feature that we have in product called Inspect that does just this. There are certainly plenty of other tools in the market that rose with this demand and this need. Tools like Zeppelin or Avocode that automated redlining and therefore were making developer collaboration easier as far as it goes with design. But a solution had been offered, and we could tell the improvement that needed to happen simply wasn't the case, because we were still hearing from customers and all these challenges bubble up from the market that automated redlining was a start. It was definitely an improvement from this before state, but there was so much more context a developer needed to really be able to build outside of just having this inspectable file. So enter our solution. That got a small group of us really collaborating and rethinking a product idea that we had proposed much earlier. And if this opportunity or this idea we might be able to take it and apply it to this current market dynamic and this sort of juicy opportunity that we had identified and thought we might act against, which is where our product idea and therefore our need to deploy a virtual squad came into being. And this is a solution that is now out in market, and we decided to call it Specs. And our concept for Specs was to build a shared space that takes all the detail, all of the goodness that you're already getting within that automated redlining experience, but pairing it and bringing it together with the context of things like design decisions and requirements that a developer might be used to getting from their product manager, all into one place, one package that a developer could work off of and move confidently against. So that was our opportunity, how we identified it and arrived with what we felt would be our solution. I'm going to hand it over to Jake to talk about what we did with that opportunity.
So yeah, Specs is a great idea, but these big opportunities are not cheap. What you just saw is basically an entirely new product that we wanted to build. So some of the challenges we faced, and you might also face, is that when these big opportunities come along, they're often fairly disruptive. There's already pre-existing goals in place with the company. There are teams that are already 100% allocated with specific areas of product ownership. So they can often be a little disruptive to what's currently going on at the company or with your specific team. So here are a few tips on how you can better pitch big opportunities and get that alignment. First, as you're creating your business case, which is basically the reason for why it's important, make sure it can clearly map to a high-level company goal. So for InVision, we were looking to increase user diversity on our platform, and Specs clearly spoke to a developer audience and addressed a really big pain point for design collaboration. And then second, before pitching this idea to leadership, try to get early buy-in from key stakeholders who are going to be affected. So Specs is going to need to reuse a lot of existing services. So our ability to get those product owners on board really helped us sell the idea. And lastly, when you can, try to seek out internal influencers, basically like distinguished individuals who are highly regarded and have been effective at executing big ideas in the past. So for us, it was our principal designer, Andy, who loved the idea and helped us design a cool vision that we pitched to leadership. So that was really helpful in trying to get that alignment and buy-in for this opportunity. Awesome. So let's imagine that you got the alignment, you now have the green light, and it's time to assemble that virtual squad. You want to make sure you put the best people on the biggest opportunities. Typically, these would be your more senior individuals, but it's more important than just like how experienced they are. There's other factors to what makes them the best people for this specific project and team. So the best teams are diverse, cross-functional teams. As a lot of you know, the stakeholder universe is expanding. It takes a village to release these quality products. So you're going to move a lot faster if you have all the right players on the immediate squad. The squad should really feel kind of like a mini startup business unit, especially for these 0 to 1 feature builds. And in order to best identify who those diverse individuals are, break down your project and identify what the staffing needs would be. So for Specs, it was a 0 to 1 product that the market had never seen before. We were obviously needing a senior mix of developers, designers, and a product manager. But it was also really important to have Lizzie, our product marketer, as a core member of the team so we could help shape the product in a way that would resonate in the market. Specs also leveraged about 7 existing product areas, so it touched a lot, and it was going to include a lot. So it was important that we got the right technical advisors and even historians to help us navigate some of those legacy systems. And last, Specs was built within a connected platform on InVision, meaning this wasn't a product built in a silo with everything self-contained. It needed to connect to the rest of the platform and integrate with a lot of shared services. So domain experts and people that could help us work with those teams better were essential to making sure that we moved efficiently. And lastly, this is kind of the X factor when selecting members for the squad. They need to be passionate, proactive, and self-organizing. So you want to make sure they're really bought into the opportunity and excited about it. And since you're going to be moving really fast, the requirements won't be ready for them on day one. It's not like we're going to give you like, here's the design, now build exactly this. So they need to be proactive in helping defining those requirements with the full team and moving through a lot of ambiguity that they might experience along the way. Cool. I'll hand it over to Johnny now, and he's going to talk about how you operate and execute one of these virtual squads.
So now, you've identified the people, you got the support to build it, but then now there comes the real magic of actually getting into executing and delivering. So as we approached it, there were a few principles and a few rules of thumbs that we followed. One of the most important things is to ensure that every team member on this project are 100% allocated. When speed matters and we're moving, and headspace becomes such an important thing. If these engineers, product managers, PMM, designers, their attention is deviated to other areas, they're not able to respond in a timely manner. They're not able to give all their focus and creative thinking to solving the problem. So the first foremost you need to do is ensure 100% of their time is going to be allocated to the squad. The second thing is, this is going to be a fast-moving project. There's going to be a lot of ambiguity in how we build it. It means that the product is still evolving. The designers are still figuring out how to build this and what the right experiences are. So it's important that the engineers or in the team, it's not precious about throwing the code that's being written. It's okay to throw away code. It's okay to iterate, make changes as we learn and as we evolve more. The other thing is ensuring that there's constant communications. We are a very global team, so not everybody's in the time zone. So we lean heavily on Slack. We set up a Slack channel and ensure that all our communications were going through. And we also made sure that all our active cross-functional partners were also part of this.
I want to jump in here for just 1 second, Johnny. So I think all of that hopefully resonates with the people that we're talking to. And certainly, hopefully you're already working in some sort of cross-functional manner for your regular work. But, great. We stood up a Slack channel. Like, there are lots of Slack channels, and yes, you can talk with anyone. But I think what made it really unique for us within this Specs virtual squad was the level of communication and us just kind of breaking down certain rules that we have, unspoken rules of how different team members operate once we joined this kind of 100% all-in virtual squad dynamic. So for me, as a product manager, I certainly very much rely on my engineering and design teams, but I typically use Jake, my product manager, to liaise to those teams. So I may not be in direct dialogue with them as often. I'm more kind of a recipient and a benefactor of Jake communicating what's going on, and he can take things back to them if I need it. In this case, and in our Specs virtual squad channel, it was just as likely for me to be getting in touch with our front-end engineer or with our engineering manager, asking a question about a bug, sharing some customer feedback, as it would be for Jake. So we really broke down some of those traditional rules of operation and said, if you're in this channel, we all are 100% in and kind of all in active dialogue, which was unique for us in this situation.
So the other important thing is ensuring that this team is okay to be exempt from some org level rituals, so that again, they could focus 100% of their time into this project. One of the principles that we have at InVision is called intelligent urgency. And that is something that we really apply to this virtual squad methods. A lot of the decisions we make are reversible. So we apply this concept of one-way versus two-way doors. And one-way doors usually means you can't go back on it, or it's very expensive to go back. Luckily, majority of the decisions are two-way doors. So this mindset really helped the team to make decisions faster and execute against those. The other thing, as Jake talked about the trust part of it earlier, that is a really important part of building this culture of disagreeing and committing to decisions. We enabled that by ensuring that there was DRIs, direct responsible individuals. So that way, if there's a decision had to be made, it was made quickly. Even if everybody didn't agree with it, the whole team would commit to it and rally behind it. That created the trust and a great team bond. And lastly, but most importantly, we ensured that our customers were part of our journey from day one. We involved them in our discovery phase, and then we continue to keep them engaged. We spun up a big Slack channel with beta customers that had all our engineers and product managers and designers, all our virtual squad members in there. They were able to directly engage with customers, get feedback, quickly make changes, and give it back to the customers to get that feedback. Most product development teams do talk about ensuring customers have a seat on the table. In our case, we literally had a lot of customers that had a seat on our table, and we gave them a lot of empowerment to hold us accountable as well, and ensuring that they were part of shaping and building this great product.
So at this point, you've heard about our opportunity, this opportunity we identified around developer handoff not being fun for anyone. How we discovered the opportunity, how we went about getting approval, and then how we built and scaled this virtual squad. But if you remember when we started, this is a case study. It's really a bit of a look back on a product that we've had out now for quite a bit. So I want to share with how things have evolved since then, and what are some of the results and outcomes we've seen from deploying and working within this virtual squad model. So first off is speeding up our time to market. So we saw the time from idea to getting something out to customers speed up significantly. As Jake mentioned, just how we got alignment around the opportunity, and within this model, we were able to quickly align and start building, and that got us to a format to release something into those beta customers' hands within just a few weeks. And with earlier feedback from customers, this meant that we could scale specs up and get it out from small beta group into a public beta where all of our customers could have access and kick the tires in under a quarter's time. So all of this work culminated, as mentioned, within a successful open beta, but also into a public launch that helped propelled us into great month-over-month growth that at this point we see rolling organically. So right now we're currently tracking at about 25% growth in monthly active users, and have seen developer engagement. So when those development users are on InVision, we've seen their engagement numbers and collaboration metrics go up when a team is utilizing specs within their workflow. And as you might imagine, this had great internal impacts on our team morale. So the teams working on specs could see their work first getting released and into customers' hands fast, and felt the true impact that it was having on teams using InVision. And the last thing I want to touch on in this section is, because of the amazing organic growth, because of the positive benefits we saw internally, we actually decided to formally adopt and support specs as one of our core platform features. So what's ironic is, in a way, our idea and spinning up of this virtual squad has now transitioned into a true squad within our EPD organization. I'm going to hand it over to Jake now that I've gotten to tell all the nice fun stuff. He can talk about watchouts and limitations you want to think about.
So, we aren't perfect. There were definitely bumps and learnings throughout the entirety of building out specs and operating this virtual squad. So here's a couple of tips of things that you can also watch out for if you want to try this. So first, you want to make sure that you have a really well-defined goal and deadline. This is really going to help limit some of the scope creep and keep the team focused on your MVP when they could otherwise get pretty distracted in moving this quickly. You also want to make sure that you have a good continuity plan, as Johnny kind of mentioned at the beginning. Remember that you're building something with a temporary squad. Assuming you are successful, it's important to plan out who's going to carry the work forward after it's released. Is it the current virtual squad that you want to make permanent, or is there a different team that'll be taking ownership of it? So try to work out a transition plan in that case and keep them informed of the decisions you're making along the way, so that the other team who's going to inherit it can start to feel more ownership of it and kind of understand why you made certain decisions and how it was built. So we just covered a lot of material. So if you only remember 3 things, here they are. So for the first one, in order to get the best alignment on your idea, make sure you're tying it to a high-level company goal. And then the second here, be ambitious when selecting the team. Remember that virtual squads are for those exceptional opportunities. So, be selfish in the way that you're picking the best people to get on the squad with you. And then make sure that the squad is 100% in, and also include customers whenever you can. Will really increase your chance of success whenever you release and seize this opportunity. So that's it. Thanks so much for hearing our case study and how we use virtual squads in InVision. Hopefully that is helpful for you and your organization. Enjoy the rest of the conference.